Hello and welcome to the Wasteland Wrap. I'm your host, Jacob Holmes, joined this week by my co host, Raf Stitt. Raf, welcome to the wrap, buddy.
Thanks for having me, man. Happy Friday.
Yeah, a good early Friday morning for me. It's 10 a.m. in Alabama, 11 a.m. Raf's time, but this is the time that worked for us. Just stay tuned. We're going to have these go live just kind of midday. We do all work, so we have to work around. We can't always offer a set exact time, but I'm just glad we could make it work so that Raf can be here this week. And thank you for joining us. This is a new podcast, so just explain again. The Wasteland Wrap is our new weekly podcast where we talk about all things movie news in the past week, whether that be reviews, casting news, movie announcements, trailers, just a mix of everything. Let us know what you think about the topics that we are talking about today. Jump in the comment section. Let us know if there's something we missed that you like us to talk about. Uh, Let us know any suggestions for the show, and then subscribe so next week you can see how we do those um, revisions. So again, thanks so much for being here. Let's jump in, Raf, to our first news story of the day, um, which is Pixar announcing that we are going to get Monsters Inc. 3, and a little bit of other stuff. So what we're going to do, Raf, is we're going to enter this. We're going to enter the Wasteland. We're going to hop over to screenagewasteland.com and see what our good friend Duke Carlston had to write about the news, and just kind of take it from there to get the basics, and then we'll jump into the discussion. So as you can see, this is not just an announcement of Monsters Inc. 3. They actually announced two new original films as well, but Monsters Inc. 3 is kind of the headline, and I'm going to do my best to make sure that I am reading the same as what is on screen for you guys. So let's just pick up right here. In a lengthy Wall Street Journal profile, Pixar Chief Creative Officer Pete Docter announced three new animated movies, including a third entry in the studio's popular Monsters Inc. franchise. Now, it's not clear right now who will be directing the sequel. Doctor himself directed the 2001 original, and Dan Scanlon helmed the 2013 prequel Monsters University. Plot details are still under wraps. However, Monsters Inc. does have a sequel already in the form of Disney Plus animated series Monsters at Work. And we'll jump back to us for a minute. Uh, you know, Monsters Inc. 3, um, which is kind of the first real theatrical sequel to the film, I'm guessing. We don't really know, like Duke just said, the plot details haven't been announced yet, but obviously, the first sequel was a prequel, Monsters University. How are you feeling about this news, Raf? Because to be honest, I'm a little bit split. Monsters Inc. to me is one of the classic Pixar movies. It's not quite in that like upper tier. I think it's somewhere in the top 10. Um, but I have a bone to pick with Monsters University. I did not love that film, but I know some people disagree. What do you think, Raf?
I I dig Monsters Inc. I don't know if it's top tier Pixar, but it's definitely one of their stronger movies. It's a classic. I kind of think we should stop making sequels to animated movies for children because the target audience for this movie ostensibly is 6-year-olds, we'll say. And if you're 6, you probably haven't seen Monsters Inc. or Monsters University. And then your parent is going to sit you down and say, hey, you need to watch this movie so that you can understand that we're going to go watch in theaters this weekend. But that's kind of a ridiculous thing to ask of a 6-year-old. No?
I don't necessarily fully agree. Although sequelitis is something that infects all of the entertainment industry. You got to have a good sequel. It's important that your sequel is worth making on its own merits. But I mean, uh, when we talk about sequels in Pixar, we gotta understand too. Pixar changed the way Disney does sequels because up until Toy Story 2, granted, Disney did put Rescuers Down Under in theaters, so technically, Disney beat did put a theatrical sequel. But most of Disney's stuff, remember, Raph, was like Cinderella 2, Little Mermaid 2, all this straight to DVD nonsense, right? Just to cash in on the franchise and just put DVDs out there, but it just kind of slop. Nothing that would be deemed worthy of being in theaters, to the point that we really don't even think about those movies when we think Disney movies, because they're not
Hmm.
theatrical releases. But they tried to do that with Toy Story. Did you know this history that they tried to do that with Toy Story 2? Disney Disney
Make it straight
basically,
to DVD.
yeah, basically Disney ordered the sequel to Toy Story and it was supposed to just be a straight to DVD thing. But Pixar was like, "No, we're going to make something really really good and then we're going to put it in theaters." Um and obviously Toy Story 2 is arguably as good or better than the first. It holds up better animation wise, I will say that. Some of the things the studio had progressed in those few years. And then Toy Story 3 is great. Now Toy Story 4 is a bit of a problem. And they've had, the Cars sequels, which the Cars is not the greatest franchise to start with. Um, Monsters University to me really ground my gears, and it ground my gears in ways that most people wouldn't even think to know, because I used to watch these things religiously and I had like all the behind the scenes features. So when I watched Monsters University, they recycled a lot of the audio from Monsters Inc., which probably for most people wouldn't be noticeable, or if it was, maybe it'd be a cool thing. I just felt like it was lazy. But the number one reason that I hate Monsters University and I just can't jibe with it is retro retconning Randall's squinty eyes to being because he wants to look cool and not wear his glasses. I just cannot I cannot get past that. Randall Boggs has squinty eyes because he is a slimy, sketchy guy. He holds his
Hmm.
eyes because of his personality, not because he's needs corrective lenses. What? Like, the things that you'll come up with origins for that you don't need origins for when you make these prequels. It's awful. So, you know, hopefully this is a sequel. Hopefully this is a direct sequel to the original film. I don't. I also didn't really love the whole recharacterization of Sully in Monsters University as this fratty nepo baby type guy that comes in and thinks he doesn't have to do. I don't know. I just thought Sully was a good-hearted dude throughout. And now you're telling me in college he was like a total douche nozzle. Like, I don't need that. Um, let's go back to the Sully and Mike that we know. You know, what are you hoping? Do you think they should do a Monsters University follow up, the Monsters Inc. follow up? Obviously, you said they shouldn't do any follow up. We're getting one, so what do you think they should go?
Follow up to Monsters Inc. I don't know if it's going to be a continuation of the Boo story or if it'll be like Boo's kids or something. Who knows? I again don't really use any reason to have this will exist, but if we're going to do it, it may as well be a continuation of the Monsters University story.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you're right. The problem with Monsters Inc. is they switched to laugh power, so I don't know how you really. It's going to be weird if they're trying to explore how monsters are making people laugh now. Um, I don't
Hmm.
know. That's a weird. That's weird. Let's jump back to the story though for a second, because, like I said, there was some more announcement in this. So we're gonna read on a little bit to here. Yeah, so two new original movies also unveiled. The first, Ono Ghost Market, inspired by Asian myths about supernatural bazaars where the living and dead interact. That sounds awesome, but then the next sentence is kind of concerning. Originally developed as a television series, likely for Disney Plus, before being redeveloped into a film. And then the other movie is going to be Pixar's first ever musical from Turning Red director Domi Shi. I don't know about you. I think the Ono Ghost Market sounds really cool. Um, I really hope it was redeveloped
Yeah.
into a movie because it was so good that they thought, let's make
Hmm.
this theatrical. And also because Disney is kind of abandoning the idea of streaming shows and not getting their best bang for their buck in theaters. But
Hmm.
it sounds kind of like a Coco type deal, and Coco is one of the better recent works from Pixar. Um, Maybe a top tier Pixar. It's moved close to that for me. So I'm excited to see what they do with that. A musical, Raf. That's really funny because when Pixar came in, that was one of their main alternatives. Was, oh, Disney's always a musical, and Pixar's like, we don't do musicals. We do
Yeah.
animated stories without the musical. I mean, Toy Story has some banger songs cut in, but they're not sung by the characters. So, which
Yeah.
one of those are you excited? Are you excited about those two movies? Are you excited because they're originals? What do you think on those?
Yeah, I am excited for them. I got to be honest, I don't think I'm necessarily the right person to be asking about Pixar movies. I enjoy a lot of the early Pixar works. I love Coco. Coco's top tier Pixar, sure. Wally is one of my favorite movies ever. But in terms of current or upcoming Pixar movies, even ones that are sequels to movies that I've enjoyed, I just don't, as a single dude with no children, I'm not necessarily going out to theaters to see Pixar movies. So for me, they kind of just come and go. I don't know that I'm necessarily going to seek out any of these movies. I might end up watching them at some point, but I can't say that I'm
Well,
super excited for any of them, although some of them do sound fairly interesting.
and that's a bit of a problem lately with Pixar because Inside Out, Wally, the Toy Story movies, Finding Nemo, yes, they're all child appropriate and aimed somewhat at children, but I mean they're just great stories. The Incredibles, all of those stories are great even if you're an
Mhm.
adult. There's some, I mean, the storytelling is wonderful. Ratatouille, is a story about a rat trying to gain approval from a food critic. It's not a very typical children's story. So, but lately they've been a little bit more juvenile and a little bit more indistinguishable from like a DreamWorks and God forbid an Illumination, you know. But I'm a special case because uh, I used to want as a child I wanted to work for Pixar. I love to draw, so that
Mhm.
was like my dream, and I was just obsessed. Like up from Toy Story through like Up, I had like every 2 disc DVD set with all behind the scenes. I can tell you about the like chimpanzee that they brought in to have like one day just running around the studio like he was there, or like their secret room they have in their studio. All kinds of weird background stuff. Yeah, so I'm excited though. I'm excited for um they haven't killed me on Monsters Inc. on the Monsters Inc. franchise. Like I will go back to it and see what they have. I haven't given up on that, and I'm really excited about Oh No Ghost Market. I don't know what to think about the musical. I didn't love Turning Red, so we'll see what Domichi can do. But that will be an interesting one. Let's move ahead to our next story. Move ahead on the ticker. So the first reviews are in for Project Hail Mary, and they are really good. And obviously, Raf, you'll remember we just a few weeks ago we had the way too early predictions on pole position for next year's Best Picture films, and
Mhm.
Project Hail Mary is the only film that all four of us, including you and I, had on our 10 Best Picture list, which is interesting given that it comes out in March because it's going to take a long it's going to be a long road for it to try and wind up in Best Picture. I'm going to switch over to Metacritic and read a few blurbs of the reviews and see what we've got coming in. All right, so obviously you see there it has currently an 80 Metacritic score, which is really good for the kind of movie it is. Um, First review from Consequence is Shannon Miller. Um, Project Hail Mary is a movie that believes it's possible to save the world. It dares to hope, and that's more beautiful than all the stars in the sky. Kind of a sappy review there. Um, Ethan Anderton for Slash Film says it will lift up and squeeze your heart, crack you up with laughter, and give you a sense of hope and wonder in a way that few movies have been able to inspire. Lord and Miller, the directors, have created something truly magical, and we'll be talking about this one for decades to come. Uh, Brian Truitt from USA Today gave it a 100 and said, funny and dramatic when it needs to be, as well as exceptionally rousing throughout. The movie perfectly captures the story of human resilience and interstellar bromance that Andy Weir's 2021 brilliant novel did so well. Let's skip down and get a few of the more middle ground reviews. Let's go Nick Shager from the Daily Beast. A stirring celebration of bravery, camaraderie, and human ingenuity that goes big in every respect, not least of which by recognizing and foregrounding the majesty of larger than life movie stardom. And let's go down. Let's go down and see what the people who didn't love it as much have to say. Um, a 50 from Owen Gleiberman from Variety. Actually, let me scroll down just a little further there. Okay. He says Project Hail Mary will likely be a hit, but the movie we need right now, or really any time, is one whose drama extends beyond its ability to push our buttons. Um, Another one, a simple, really quick one from Robert Daniels at RogerEbert.com says the harder the film tries, the more one feels pulled along rather than effortlessly transported. And I wanted to read this one because I thought it was a little bit better. Uh, Kristen Lopez from the Film Maven gave it a 67 and said there are countless space movies to choose from, and there are moments where Project Hail Mary tries to have the dark human emotion and ask the big questions that movies like Arrival and Interstellar have done. There are also moments where it just wants to be a fun space film. Those two tones don't gel smoothly, but Gosling is gold. So, a little bit of a mix of reviews. Honestly, not too far off what I expected from Lord and Miller. The higher end reviews really think that Lord and Miller balanced that tone better. It seems like there's a lot of fun to be had here, a lot of joy. Um, but it does try to tackle some big themes, and I think that's where seems to be a little bit of division is how well the movie tackles the big themes. I also think that's what's going to make the difference on whether it gets into the Best Picture 10. Raf, what were your thoughts so far seeing the reviews? How do they make you more excited to see the movie, less excited, or just kind of the same?
I think kind of the same for me. Like you said, this is sort of what we expected from early reviews. Folks who were digging it are praising Lord and Miller for being able to balance the tone of, fun, exciting, kind of funny, humorous, and some big, thoughtful, human, emotional kind of elements of the story. So I'm still personally excited for it. I think that once folks go to see it this weekend, I think audiences are really going to love it. I think that hope core kind of movies are something that people are pining for. We saw that a lot from 2025 with things like Superman, being big hits. So I think that Project Hail Mary is going to be more of the same. We'll see how much it carries through and becomes, or whether or not it becomes a defining film for 2026. But it is exciting that this early in the calendar we're getting something that can be a big movie, sort of our first blockbuster of the year. So I'm so pumped for it. The reviews seem kind of in line with what it is that we were expecting. So that's good news, I think.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I didn't know the way people were talking about it beforehand, like as a masterpiece. I think these reviews fall just a tiny bit short of what I kind of those reactions. I mean, some people still do call it a masterpiece, um, but I think there's a little bit of wiggle room. So it'll be interesting. We're not here to talk about its Oscar chances, really, but that will be on pole position, something that we're tracking all season long. Can this kind of ride that Top Gun Maverick F1 big blockbuster wave all the way through the summer into the fall into that Oscar nomination time? Um, yeah, but Lord and Miller, I mean, they haven't done any wrong really for me. Obviously, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is incredible, and I think you see that their sensibility between rapid fire humor but still having that heart and action. So hopefully that just translates here really well. But yeah, most of their stuff has been animation, so that is interesting to see. This is really their first live action like huge blockbuster, and it sounds like they stuck the landing
Mhm.
for the most part. So I'm excited to see it. All right, we can move on to our next topic, which is going to be one that is going to be really fun. I don't know, see how we think about this. AI actress Tilly Norwood stars in a new music video where she is singing about wanting to be accepted into Hollywood as AI. Um, we are gonna go and read the Screen Age Wastelands breakdown of this. But before we do that, I do want to go and actually go to the video itself and just play a few seconds of that so you kind of get the gist of what we're talking about here. Let me pull that up. The human spark, Raph, the human spark from this AI creation, like there, I have not seen less human spark than what this weird AI contraption is doing in this video. And Raph, as I watch this video for the first time myself, I feel myself losing because I'm yelling at this Tilly Norwood creation like she's someone that exists, but she's not. She's just a code. She's just a thing that's put together. Um, so it's like already losing the battle, man. I'm like acting like she's the problem. She's not a thing. She doesn't. She's not real. She's just a
Yeah,
puppet of
it's I mean,
people.
it's less yelling at her directly and more so yelling at the folks behind what it is that this AI actress is and represents and is trying to communicate. The fact that this is the creation or the idea, the brainchild of real life people and real life creatives, right? Her creator is, I think, an actor, and she does other things as well. Um, you're more so yelling at her, and I'm forgetting her name.
We're about to read about her.
Um, but it's yeah. So I'll pause there and let you yeah, pull up
Yeah,
reading about her a little bit more before we get into the rest of it. But I totally
but it
understand why
is.
it is that you were yelling at this particular video. I was somewhere between depressed and angry while watching it. I think lean more depressed. I was like shaking while watching this video or this music video, if we can even call it that. So I totally understand wanting to to yell at it. I
But it's just
didn't that wasn't
even.
necessarily my reaction, but I get it.
Even the sense though, I'm like, when I'm yelling for the at first I'm like, you are not a human, and I'm like, why am I even embodying this thing? It's not there. There's nothing to say you to. It's not you. It's like, this thing is not human. But yes, it said the people behind it. And let's read a little bit about that. Um, Again, back to another news article on Screen Age Wasteland from Duke. Um, let's scroll down. By the way, this is Tilly Norwood. She's on a flamingo because there's flamingos in this video for some reason. I'm not really sure the video ever explains why there's flamingos. I might have droned out. And we're going to just pick up here where it's explaining who Tilly Norwood supposedly is. So Norwood is an AI generated actor, in quotes, unveiled back in September as the first client of Shikoya Studios. Don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but apparently they bill themselves as the world's first artificial intelligence talent studio. Uh, Back when they announced that in September, SAG-AFTRA quickly slammed Norwood, with many cinephiles following suit, collectively scratching their heads as to why anybody thinks we'd want to watch an AI actor. Now it's 6 months later, and Norwood is back in the news because she has pivoted, I guess, to becoming a singer. She has just released her debut single, Take the Lead, which we just watched a clip of, complete with an AI generated music video that addresses the backlash the creation has received. Duke did not embed the video, but we've seen it here. Some of the other cringeworthy lyrics that we didn't get to, it's the next evolution, can't you see? AI is not the enemy, it's the key. And they say it's not real, that it's fake, but I am still human, make no mistake, which is just, I mean, ridiculous. Um, Duke writes, however, arguably the worst part of the music video, which we skipped, is the disclaimer at the beginning that says that 18 real humans worked on the video. Duke says, yikes, that is not something I'd want on my resume because it was a rough listen slash watch. And here's what we were talking about, Raf. Norwood's creator, Eline Vandervelden, is holding firm on her belief that Norwood is the future of movies and music, she says. Tilly is and always has been a vehicle to test the creative capabilities and boundaries of AI, not take anyone's job. As an actor myself, I have loved bringing Tilly alive for this video and feel that the ability to now use performance capture in this way to fully inhabit an AI character is a phenomenal way to bring an unknown actor like me closer to the craft. That's she said that to the Hollywood Reporter.
How?
Vandervelden. We're about to get into it, Raf. We're about to finish this up. Vandervelden continued, however, at the end of the day, even with brilliant new technology, it's still important to stress that great AI content isn't instant. It always takes good ideas, taste, direction, judgment, and time. In other words, people remain at the heart of it. And Duke wraps up the article saying, I must have blinked and missed the good ideas, taste, direction, judgment, and time in the music video. Will I watch it again in hopes of seeing it? Absolutely not. Raf, take it away.
Yeah, this is one of the most cynical things I've ever seen, this particular music video, because it is trying to make a case for the use of AI, specifically within creative fields and within creative spaces, saying that it is something that is humanly driven because most people who appreciate the arts, contribute to making the arts, will argue that what makes art so special is the fact that it's made by humans with souls who are trying to communicate various aspects of our lived experience, and that's what makes art so special. So in this video, having this AI actress try to communicate to us that she is as human as any other artist is really taking away from what it is that actually makes art special. And beyond that, like, okay, I can be open to this idea if we really do think that AI is a tool that can be used for uh, creative and artistic ventures going forward. But there's nothing within this music video, either in its content or its form, that makes a compelling argument for why we should be open to its use. The way that the music video looks and feels, the way that the lyrics are constructed, the way that she looks and moves within it, there's nothing compelling about the argument that AI is something that can be useful in creating art. So the entire the entire like point, the entire aim of this music video in trying to convince us that we should appreciate AI and embrace AI, it totally fails in doing that, which makes it that much more cynical. And the fact that there are people behind it, who are, actors, perhaps some songwriters, perhaps videographers and editors who were willingly taking part in this and like willingly engaging in something that takes away from the beautiful work that they do otherwise, is really, really to me.
Yeah, well, one of the things that I found really interesting, Raf, because I watched the video and then read about it. So apparently, this creator of this supposed actress is an actress herself and an unknown actress, which she admits. And apparently, there's a performance capture component to this, and you have to wonder: is it like, is this struggling actor just using Tilly Norwood as a gimmick to try and get herself involved and get herself name recognition? Because it's like, what? Why? If you're doing performance capture, why would you then turn it into this mush? And then the other point, like as you were saying, Raf, even if we accepted, so because it's a hat on a hat, right? This AI is performing as this woman who is then performing again in whatever script is given or whatever. And even if you accept Tilly Norwood, if you accept the AI performing as a human woman, even if you accept that, she's a shit actress. She can't make you feel anything emotional. Like it's no worse than like if I showed up and tried to act, I would probably seem wooden as hell. And it's like, why would you put Tilly Norwood in anything when she sucks? She sucks at conveying the human emotions. So it's like, even if you accept her as a some kind of person, um, she's clearly not ready for the big stage. She just can't act for shit. Maybe she can star in a Neil Breen movie. If he needs some, like, I don't know how much she costs, um, but to book for your deal. I don't know what's the purpose of her either. Like, is she supposed to be like a background actress? Do they think she can star in a film? Like, what would that even look like? How would other actors interact with this? Would it be like when they're doing the big Marvel green screen fights and they're like, "Oh, Tilly Norwood is just she'll just be here acting," and you're just, I mean, obviously that's something that happens to a degree in movies, but still, it's just like, what are we doing?
Yeah, but even in those scenarios, again, we're drawing from the human experience. We're drawing from something deep within us. We're drawing from our souls to create that art, whether it be a painting or writing song lyrics or creating the background for a green screen in a Marvel movie. And this music video is in many ways trying to tell us that this AI figure can draw from those things. I think at one point she says that she has a soul, which again is just the most cynical thing to say because we all collectively know that a set of of lines of computer code don't contain souls the way that the rest of us uh, do. Like, I would be more happy with replacing humans with squirrel actors because at least squirrels have a soul that they could also draw from for their performances in ways that Tilly Norwood does not. And you're not going to convince us that you do have a soul and that you are a useful tool in creating art by just having some dog shit lyric that says that you are.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what they were thinking. I mean, if I was, again, like I think Duke said, if I was a human involved in making this video, I would be like, don't associate, don't give me credit on that. That is
I have so many questions about that. Like, did someone write those lyrics or did they put into some sort of learn language model prompt, hey, write us lyrics for a song about an AI actress? You know?
right. That's the
Um,
question. That's the
I,
question. And if I wrote if I was the person and I actually wrote those lyrics, even if I wrote them myself, I would say, yeah, we did the prompt thing. 'Cause that's what it feels. It
mhm.
feels
Yeah,
like, for sure. It feels like an AI trying to, and because even the song itself is contradictory. Immediately, she says, "I'm just a tool. I'm just code, but I'm also actually a human." It's like, pick a lane. Like, why, why are you going back and forth? Um, Man, that
yeah.
that was
The most
just,
dystopian thing ever, having a computer tell us that it's human.
yeah. We had to address that one on the show, just because. Good God help us, and one of my favorite movies, Ex Machina. Maybe Tilly will grow out of, and actually become something we have to deal with. She might actually reach, um, whatever that line is, and then we'll see if she wants to. If she reaches that bar, then we can see if she wants to act, and how we should treat her in our society. But we're gonna move on to our next story, which I'm hopefully you can help me out on this one, Raf, because I'm not as familiar with this franchise. So there's gonna be a new Conan. I say a remake. I guess it's really a sequel. But it has got the Mission Impossible director on board now. So we're gonna go ahead back to the Wasteland and read a little bit about this news and get some thoughts. Yeah, so Arnold Schwarzenegger's King Conan movie lands Mission Impossible director. There's Conan from the 80s. Duke writes, Arnold Schwarzenegger is not done playing Conan the Barbarian. After breaking the news himself in an appearance at the Arnold Sports Festival in Columbus, Ohio this past weekend, Deadline has confirmed that 20th Century Studios is developing a new Conan the Barbarian movie, which Schwarzenegger refers to as King Conan. Christopher McQuarrie is attached to write and direct the action movie. He is best known for his work on the last four Mission Impossible movies, as well as the first Jack Reacher. At the Arnold Sports Festival, Schwarzenegger called McQuarrie a fantastic writer director. The actor also teased what fans can expect from the long gestating threequel. And there I went reading without updating the screen here. I'm not going to do an Arnold Schwarzenegger voice, but he says, with King Conan, it's a great old story that Conan was 40 years as king, and now he gets forced out of the kingdom. And there's conflict, of course, but somehow he comes back, and there's all kinds of madness, violence, magic, creatures, and stuff like that. Schwarzenegger originally played Conan in two 80s movies, 1982's Conan the Barbarian and 1984's Conan the Destroyer. A third movie had been planned but was shelved due to scheduling conflicts and Schwarzenegger's contract expiring. It would have been titled Conan the Conqueror and was eyeing a 1987 release. And you can read the full story on Screen Age Wasteland. We'll have that linked in the description. But that's enough, I think, for this topic. Um, Raph, I have not seen any of the Conan movies. I heard Conan the Barbarian in particular is quite a lot of fun. The description of the movie from Arnold Schwarzenegger there sounds like a really good time. Um, are you a big Conan fan? What do you think about Arnold at 74, 78 years old? I think he is coming back as Conan and as an old king.
So I haven't seen either of the first two Conan movies. Like you, I've heard that the first one is a lot of fun. I think that's kind of the movie that propelled Schwarzenegger into superstardom and movie stardom territory. So I guess it should be fun to have him come back. Yeah, I probably based on our Monsters Inc. discussion, you can tell that I don't love the idea of legacy sequels. I'm sure this one will be fun, tapping into some.
We lost Raph. Uh, Raph, where did you go? Let's see if I can get him back. There he is. The trouble with doing a live show, ladies and gentlemen, we have some technical difficulties sometimes. Just bear with us. Raph, you're back on our screen. Now you're moving. And now I'm having a. Oh, it's my problem. Okay, now people can't see us, Raph. Weird. Um, I don't know. Hopefully my Wi-Fi is picking back up. I just lost some Wi-Fi connection there for a minute, Raph. I'm sorry. I'm not really sure why the signal strength cut out. It's just a random deal. Are you there? Can you hear me now? Shoot. So sorry, guys. Hopefully the technical difficulty is resolved momentarily. Raph, can you hear me?
Yeah, you got me back. Sorry about that.
It's not you. I don't think it's you. Well, it might be also me, me because my Wi-Fi dropped to like 1 bar, but I don't know. I don't know why. I'm specifically in a spot with like normally strong Wi-Fi, so and it's kind of cutting out again. We'll see. Hopefully, this will be salvageable at the end of the live stream. But as I was telling the people who are here or will watch this back, that's just the trouble of a live stream. Sometimes things happen. Um, uh, but yeah, we were talking about the legacy sequel for Conan the Barbarian. I don't know, I haven't seen it. You haven't seen it. We're both big movie guys. Um, I wonder. So I think people will go out for that reason, maybe. But are there really enough Conan the Barbarian fans to make this viable?
I think so. I think I think the Gen X and older millennial crowd is still primed for nostalgia bait, and I think a lot of those folks will be really excited to see something from their youth, childhood back on the big screen. So, and again, it sounds like it could be a super fun movie considering who's being brought in to direct, and we'll see who else ends up being involved on the creative side. But yeah, Schwarzenegger's still a name. Conan is still a pretty solid big brand in by all accounts, it should be something that people will be excited for.
Thanks for pitching in there. Yeah, the fact that McQuarrie is attached is a good sign. I think he does some good work. Um, and so I think hopefully it's if it gets a good trailer and Arnold looks good in it, I think it can be good. Sorry, I love to try and open a door, see if I can resolve this weird Wi-Fi issue that we're having. But we're about to wrap up anyway, so we'll just move on to our next topic. And if it's a bit mangled, we'll know that for next time. Maybe I need to get an Ethernet cord. Anyway, let's pull up the next topic. Let me get that set up just to make sure we're good. Okay, there we go. So, The Legend of Aang director has come out and let everyone know that filming has finally wrapped on the movie, which was going to be a theatrical release. For years, Paramount said this is going to be a theatrical Avatar The Last Airbender movie, which is really exciting to all of us who are big fans of Avatar The Last Airbender. But a couple months back, they said, actually, no, we're going to send it straight to streaming, which all of us who don't have Paramount Plus because it sucks, we're not huge fans of. But I guess they want us to go to get Paramount Plus. Um, which, and they have a new Avatar show. It's from the Instagram of the director, who's Lauren Montgomery. As you can see, she posted on Instagram, The Legend of Aang is wrapped. And she posted this caption along with it. So she says, Aang movie is officially wrapped. We screened the final film for the crew and celebrated the end of a 4-year journey. Now it waits in limbo until its release in October. I've never worked on an Avatar project that was easy, and this was no different. But it was worth it. I'm so proud of everyone who was a part of this and the amazing things we built together. The movie is amazing. Coming from the director, I might have some bias, but I feel the need to put that out there. The recent decision to move us from theatrical to streaming might give the impression that the quality wasn't sufficient, but that couldn't be farther from the truth. This movie deserves to be seen on a big screen. Can't wait for you all to see it. And then she took some pictures, and so she references that. Um, Raf, this I've talked about this before off screen. Um, just a travesty, man. This film was intended to go to theaters. I was really excited to see an Airbender product on the big screen. The Airbender franchise in general uh, has always had fantastic action sequences, and seeing those on the big screen would have been a great time. And I'm hoping that there's enough shame involved here somehow that we ultimately get it put back in theaters to some level. If Netflix can put K-pop Demon Hunters in theaters a month after they realize how big of a hit it is, surely Paramount can say maybe we should put it in theaters. But they're just giving up boatloads of money. I don't understand. What do you think, Raf?
Yeah, it's indicative of a really troubling trend from movie execs and studios that and part of it is on us audience members. We pine for movies to get theatrical releases and then we don't show up to theaters to see them. But I do think that part of it is on these movie studios and these I don't want to say the filmmakers because I think all filmmakers and the creatives and artists who are involved would want to see their movies on the big screen. So it's really up to the suits to make sure that we are getting theatrical releases and that they are in some ways retraining audience members to go seek out movies in theater. The experience is so much better seeing things on the big screen, getting that communal experience with other folks watching something, being totally beholden to what it is that you're watching and not having the ability to pause or check your phone or go get a snack from your kitchen, and all that stuff is really important for how it is that we experience movies. And this particular film, this particular franchise is like the perfect movie to retrain audience members. I think there is going to be a lot of excitement for folks who are going to want to check out this movie, myself included. I remember watching The Last Airbender on Nickelodeon when it first came out. It like kind of revolutionized cartoon television here in the States in terms of what it is that we were able to accomplish and the kinds of stories that we were able to tell. So I think that there's a huge, huge fan base for this movie. And I think a majority of that fan base would be willing to go see this movie in theaters, especially if we don't have the option to watch it on streaming or to watch it after 14-day theatrical release period to then go see it on Paramount Plus or whatever. Um, and as an executive, as I don't have an MBA. I am not a businessman, but I would think, the amount of money that you're going to make in ticket sales for this movie is going to be a lot more than the amount of money that you're going to make from folks signing up for Paramount Plus to watch this movie. So, just in terms of the economics and the business strategy of what it is that we're doing here, it makes zero sense. Also, in terms of what it means for the art form and how we experience cinema going forward, it doesn't make any sense. So it's puzzling on every level. And yeah, I hope that this like public pressure that the director is putting on the studio and hopefully the fan base will hop on board too. Hopefully that will lead us to actually seeing this in theaters.
Yeah, and just for anyone who doesn't know, because we didn't talk about the project when we started this, The Legend of Aang is actually following a young adult version of the original gang. And there's been some images that leaked. I didn't pull them in, but like it's like 20, like early 20s Toph, Aang, Sokka, Katara, Zuko. Not sure exactly what the conflict is going to be, um, but that's really cool. It's the characters that we grew up watching the show with, and we get to see them at a more adult time in their lives. The Legend of Korra has already shown that the Last Airbender franchise can go more adult really successfully. I think the story of Legend of Korra had bumps, but that was mostly because Nickelodeon, Viacom had no idea, like, would not give the creators any guidance. I mean, it was started as a one season thing, and then they were like, well, that did really good, so we'll screenlight another season. So it went from a mini series to now we have to continue the story. And so it just kind of got all chopped up. But when the creators know the full story that they're doing, um, Avatar hasn't missed yet. The one thing as a fan I'm a little concerned about is that this new resurgence of the franchise will mean that something misses. By the way, not talking about the M. Night Shyamalan movie, or even the Netflix live action show. Obviously, the Shyamalan movie is terrible, but that was just, I mean, that was just the show being tried to told over. That was horrible. And I actually stopped watching the live action Netflix show. It gets a few things kind of wrong that kind of mess up the story for me, and it's kind of hit or miss. The acting is kind of hit or miss. But the animated product has been solid. So hopefully, and these are the original creators are involved in this show. So hopefully it is, or in this movie rather, I think. So hopefully it is good. Hopefully the director isn't just pumping hot air because she is involved. Hopefully it really is as good as she's saying. And hopefully it didn't get moved to
And
streaming
even if it's
because
not
it was
good,
bad.
even if it's not good, give it a theatrical release because people will still, show up and see it.
Yeah, that's what people. It's almost like
there
movie execs.
there's no
I don't know
shortage
if
of bad movies that end up making a ton of
you can
money.
make a bad movie doesn't a bad movie that's really hyped will make a ton of money. It's the next movie after your bad movie that is financially affected. Because they got to experience the bad movie before they have a bad taste in their mouth. So, you know, on the other hand, I guess if you say, well, we don't want to ruin the franchise by putting out a bad taste movie, we want to let this one kind of go under the radar on streaming. And then we want the theatrical one to be so good that people keep coming back and we just keep making billions. Because this can make a ton of money. Um, so, anyway,
Mhm.
thank you so much for joining me today, Raf, and thank you for joining us. If you're here on the live stream, or watching this back. Sorry for the bit of technical issues. That may have been a setting problem for me, but also I think the Wi-Fi just kind of got us. We're gonna try and fix that. We are the Wasteland Wrap will be back next week on Friday with guest co-host Brian Loomis. I've added another co-host to the rotation,
Nice.
and Pole Position the podcast Sunday, March 15th, just 2 days away. We will be live for like 5 hours for the Oscars watch along party. It's going to be myself, Raf will be back, Val Morial, Ramona Comet, the whole crew watching along with you as the Oscar ceremony. Hopefully that goes off without a hitch. I will be in a different studio Sunday that will be right next to the Wi-Fi router. So hopefully there will be no issues. I may go pick up an Ethernet cable tomorrow. We will see, but hopefully we will have a great live stream. Thank you again so much for joining us. Don't forget to like and subscribe. When you subscribe to Screen Age Wasteland, you're getting way more than the Wasteland Wrap. You're also getting the Pole Position podcast from me, and you're getting the Canon podcast from Raf. Um, so we get that there. Plus, we have two more YouTube channels. Go to screenagewasteland.com. We got movie reviews, news, trailers, interactive. We have a movie madness tournament going on for 90s films. Raf just wrote up and ranked the best picture, the best to worst best pictures of the last what of the 2000s. So um
The 21st century. Yeah.
the
Yeah.
21st century. So we got a lot of fun content. So head on over to screenagewasteland.com, check us out, follow us on socials, all of the above, and we will catch you next time in the Wasteland.